What's up, Bama Nation? Yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine here on a Wednesday show. In my own words, hottest show in the streets right now. Before we jump into topic number one of the conversation, do me a favor, hit that like button, smash that subscribe button. Daily Super Chat go $100. Daily Super Chat go $100 right there. But even in a bye week, Alabama's main focus is starting that prep for Georgia. Takes on the Bulldogs next week at Saban Field inside Bryant-Denny Stadium in Tuscaloosa. The number one thing Alabama's trying to fix, people, this week, going into the next week, is the run defense. Bama is trying to fix the run defense going into its big test, its big matchup against Georgia. And the reason why it's trying to fix the run defense is you go back to the South Florida game and the Wisconsin game, Bama gave up some things on the ground. Now, I understand in the 4-2-5 defense, you give a little bit more on the ground to take away more in the passing game, to get more pressure on the quarterback, to create more turnovers, more takeaways, that kind of thing. But I think the run defense is going to be huge here in this matchup. Why? Georgia is going to want to run the football. They're going to want to line up, man on a man, hat on a hat, and try to lean on Alabama's defensive front and run the football. And then behind that, take shots with Carson Beck downfield to attack the defensive secondary. Now, I know the Bulldogs will not have arguably their best offensive lineman in Ratledge and Tate Ratledge, the right guard who first team All-SEC last year, two-time college football playoff national champion. Georgia will not have him because he had to have the tightrope surgery done on his left ankle following a close win over Kentucky. But even with not having him, Kirby Smart and Georgia are going to still look to line up, put a man on a man, hat on a hat, body on a body, and look to run the football. So for Alabama's defensive line, defensive front, throughout the remainder of this week and all through next week in practice, with Freddie Roach, with Kane Womack as the DC, with Christian Robinson as the outside linebackers coach, the focus is going to be on fit your gap. Gap integrity, gap discipline, fit your gap, do your run fit correctly, stop the run. That's the main thing for Alabama. Fit your gap, handle that correctly, be on your gap discipline, and stop the run. Yes, better play from the defensive secondary will be important. Absolutely. You look at going back to South Florida and Wisconsin. If those two teams had better quarterback play, South Florida, when you look at Byron Brown, strong running, could not hit guys passing the football, as South Florida had dudes running through Alabama secondary. The same thing with Wisconsin. We look at if there was not an injury to Tyler Van Dyke, the Badgers quarterback, he could have tested Bama secondary some. You didn't get that with Braden Locke, but next week with Carson Beck, he is going to challenge Xavier Brown. He is going to challenge Damani Jackson. He is going to challenge Devontae Smith. He is going to challenge Red Morgan. He is going to challenge this Alabama secondary. So, absolutely, you want to see your corners, you want to see your defensive backs not allow these wide receivers to run by them. The help they will get is that defensive front consistently putting pressure on Carson Beck, and that's the reason why it is good to hear the positive results out of Quay Russaw, right? That's why it's good to hear Kalen DeBoer talk about, Russaw's good, positivity, for him. He didn't go Monday and Tuesday in practice, but being back here, tomorrow for Alabama, that's going to be huge there for Quay Russaw. But having that pressure consistently from that defensive front will help out the secondary, but I look at Alabama's defensive line. You got to be able to stop the run. You got to be able to hit your gap, fit your gap, be disciplined in gap control, be sound in gap control, because that's exactly what Georgia is going to want to do here in this matchup is line up, run the football, and then try to build off of that by attacking the secondary downfield with Carson Beck throwing. And I go back to the matchup against Kentucky. People look at that game. Georgia struggled, only won by one. Georgia always has a game like this every year before they face a big-time program, primarily Alabama. Georgia will have a dud. They always do one dud of a game every year in the regular season before it faces a marquee opponent, primarily Alabama. And Kentucky was the dud of a matchup. Now, Kentucky's defense play ball now. And if you're Alabama, I'm popping that tape in. If you're Kane Womack, I'm popping that Kentucky tape in, and I'm writing down what in the world did Kentucky do right to have Georgia struggling the way they were. Did they have guys blitzing in the A gap? Did they have guys blitzing in the B gap? Did they fit all of the run motions? What was everything Kentucky did? What was everything Mark Stoops did defensively that caused Georgia to have friction, that caused Georgia to have struggles, that caused Georgia to have issues, right? But we know Georgia's always do that dud of a game. Against Alabama, Carson Beck, he's going to be on his A game. Against Alabama, Kirby Smart is going to have these guys going into Nick Saban Field fired up, ready to play. Why? Because there is so much pressure on Kirby Smart in this game. There's a lot of pressure. Because if Kirby doesn't win, it becomes Kirby, it's bigger than the Nick Saban problem. If Kirby doesn't win, it's Kirby's got an Alabama problem. Not Kirby has a Nick Saban problem. If Kirby doesn't win next week, Kirby's got an Alabama problem. Alabama is now a ginormous thorn in Kirby's side, and he can't take it. There's a lot of pressure on him coming into Tuscaloosa, coming into Bryant-Denny Stadium, coming on to Nick Saban Field. There's going to be a lot of pressure because the Georgia faithful is looking at him like, Kirby, the guy on the other sideline, that ain't Nick. That ain't Nick Saban. That's not the guy you sat under for 9 years. That ain't him, bruh. You should be able to take the board. You should be able to punk DeBoer out. That's what the Georgia fan base is going to be feeding Kirby. And if Kirby can't pull out this W, there's going to be a lot of disappointed, angry, grumbling, ticked off Georgia fans because they feel like, hey, Saban ain't the head man no more, Bama. Kirby, you should be able to take this. But the main thing for Alabama is being able to put a man on a man, fitting your run gaps, having gap control, having gap discipline, stopping this Georgia run game because they're going to want to line up and run the football on Alabama's defensive front. But we're going to go to a few of your comments here to start the show. Welcome in, people. Welcome in. We got Brandon Tolbert. Give us a roll tide. Roll tide to you, Brandon. Happy to have you in here. We got Bama Hulk 74. We're in here. Let's roll tide, roll. Bama Hulk 74. Happy to have you in here. My guy, Plow Jogger, Plow with the roll tide, Bama Nation. Happy to have you in here, Plow. We have Car Nurse in here. Car Nurse, roll tide from Salt Lake City, Utah. By the way of Sweet Home, Alabama. Happy to have you here, Car Nurse in here. We got Tay with Win Alabama and Stay Focused and Roll Tide, not focused on the media. Alabama definitely got to stay focused here throughout the bye week and getting prepared for Georgia. Scotty Smith writes in, can the DBs get their head around to get no pass interference penalty? That's going to be big there. Being able to not have the PIs, not have the pass interference mistakes, not have the pass interference issues. Those are all that's big time there, Scotty Smith. Not having the pass interference penalties, not having the pass interference issues, not having the defensive holding calls, but most importantly, for me, it's not allowing these wide receivers to get by you, right? Being latched on to these wide receivers of Georgia, not letting those guys get by you. But I feel like a big help for Alabama in this game is having the pass rush, having the consistent pressure from this defensive line. When you look at Tim Keenan, Tim Smith, Jamaria Latham, LT Overton, Jaheim Otis, Q Robinson, Quay Russaw, having that pressure constantly in Carson Beck's face, affecting him, will also help your Alabama secondary. Plow Jogger writes in, Georgia is worried about their run defense too, with the way these starting offensive line are executing for Bama. That's another big point there, Plow. Bama starting offensive line. Bama starting offensive line neutralizes Georgia's front. It's going to be a long day for the Dogs because Georgia's defensive secondary is susceptible to explosive plays. It's susceptible to explosive plays now. If Bama's starting five offensive line, Proctor, Booker, Brailsford, Roberts, Pritchett, that five, they neutralize, shut down, limit Georgia's defensive front. Not only is it going to be big for Alabama in the run game, but Jalen Milroe is going to be able to attack that defensive secondary right there. But good point there from Plow Jogger. Joseph Higginbottom writes in, roll, Tide, roll, Bama family. Appreciate you, Joseph Higginbottom, checking us out here on the show. We got my man Don Parker in the building. Good evening, everyone in Roll Tide. Good evening to you, Don Parker. I have to have you in here. Josh Harris writes in, Roll Tide from Camp Pendleton, California. So Josh, checking us out here from California. Appreciate you, Josh, being a part here of the show. Plow Jogger writes back in, I made some buttery biscuits today. We got the biscuits, man. We got the biscuits. Hey, Plow, send me one of them biscuits, man. I don't know if you got to mail that to me or how you're going to get that here, but send me some biscuits, man. I appreciate some good biscuits, man. Monica Petaway writes in, what's up, Bama Nation? Roll Tide to you, Monica. Happy to have you in here on the show. Plow Jogger comes in. Yesterday, balls were flying all over Lebanon, but nobody was playing soccer. Hey, then there's that, man. Then there's that. Don Parker writes in, do not be fooled by the Georgia-Kentucky score. Kirby will have Georgia ready to play. Bama has to be ready to play their best football so far this season. So Don echoes a point that I recently mentioned. Georgia's always do one dud of a matchup before a big-time game. They'll always do one dud. Kentucky was the dud. But Kirby is going to have those guys with their hair on fire coming into Tuscaloosa. Not only does Bama need to match that, Bama needs to supersede that on Saban Field. Bama's got to supersede that on Saban Field. GT18 writes in, roll, Tide, roll. Everyone, appreciate you being in here. GT18. From comes in here. What's up, Steve and the Skyline crew on set? Let's go. You have a Skyline crew. The Skyline crew is here. We're making it do what it do, From. We about that action. We are about that action. Let's see. A Plow Jogger writes in, heavyweight title bout coming up. Yes, it is. Heavyweight title bout, Bama, Georgia coming up. But also, isn't there a heavyweight title bout coming on in UFC later today? I'm not quite sure, but people drop that in the chat. I don't know if I'm right about that. Is there a heavyweight title bout in UFC fighting coming up, or am I just dreaming stuff right now? But we know there's a heavyweight title bout with Bama, Georgia. We know that for a fact there. Let's see. Roll Tide and Rise Up with the Roll Tide family. Appreciate Roll Tide and Rise Up helping us out there. My guy, Aaron McGuire with the Roll Tide Roll. Appreciate Aaron McGuire jumping in here. Plow Jogger comes back with neither Milroe nor Bennett have a chance at the Heisman if they screw up this game. So neither Milroe nor Carson Beck have a shot here at the Heisman if they screw up this game. Well, Plow, this is a big moment for one of these two quarterbacks, and for you, the Bama Nation, you are hoping it's Milroe. Here's a big chance for one of these two quarterbacks next week to take a big step in the Heisman talk, to take a big step in the Heisman conversation for people to start looking at them more there. Jay Walker writes in, Roll Tide to you, Jay, absolutely. Jarvis S. writes in, Georgia isn't ready for Bama. Jarvis S. bringing that confidence to the table. He's saying them dogs aren't ready for them elephants known as the Crimson Tide. J.D. Lee comes in. Kentucky pressured Beck almost all night in that game, impressed with their defense. Mark Stoops, to me, you let that one get away, right? Defensively, Kentucky did everything it was supposed to do and then some. Offensively, Kentucky could not pull the trigger. It's like you had Kirby Smart at gunpoint and you couldn't deliver the knockout punch. You couldn't deliver the knockout shot there. You had him on the rails, on the ropes there, and you couldn't deliver the Mike Tyson knockout below. But Kentucky was able to get to Carson Beck, pressured him quite a bit, affected him a lot, and that's exactly what Alabama is going to have to do next week with its defense. Get to Carson Beck, pressure him a lot, affect him in the pocket. Because when you affect him, he is known to make a mistake. He is known to turn the ball over. And what does Kane Womack want? More takeaways there. So appreciate that point there from J.D. Lee. Jay Walker writes in, we are going to see more of the playbook on both sides of the ball. Absolutely. You're going to see Nick Sheridan, Kane and DeBoer dive more into the offensive bag. And Kane Womack has already said, Bama's only used a small volume of its defense. So Kane is about to pull out some stuff on the defensive side of the ball that we have not seen yet. So this is going to be very interesting, very intriguing here. J.D. Lee comes back with Roll Tide, everyone. Roll Tide to you, J.D. Jarvis S. comes back with Kirby ain't winning at Saban Field. Saban's going to be at this game. Saban's going to be at this game. His family's going to be at this game. I really don't see Kirby pulling this out at Saban Field. I just feel like the players will not allow this to happen. This team will not allow this to happen. Yes, they got to be focused in. Yes, they have to play to the standard of Alabama excellence, absolutely. But I just feel like the players on this roster, on this team, will not allow Kirby Smart to walk right in here, Tuscaloosa, Saban Field, and win this ball game coming up here. Let's see here. Don Parker comes back with Georgia had on bad game 2 games well. Bama's played 2 horrible games and a decent game. We all have to keep that in mind. Kirby is going to have to be extra motivated too. Bama's got to handle business. So Georgia played Clemson, and it wasn't good early on, but it came back and got the win over Clemson. Georgia played Kentucky. Wasn't a great matchup there, but found a way to win there. Alabama played Western Kentucky, but it wasn't challenged. Then Bama got a bit more challenged against South Florida, and you saw how spotty and sloppy that game was. Wisconsin was the cleanest game Alabama has played to this point. Cleanest game was Wisconsin. So it's got to come in here against Georgia ready to ball on both sides of the coin here. Got to come in ready to ball on both sides of the coin. Here we go. Brandon Tolbert writes in, Kirby need this one for real. Everyone knows it. That's why, Brandon, I mentioned the pressure's on him. Not necessarily Kalen DeBoer. The pressure's on Kirby from the Georgia faithful. If you don't win, there is going to be grumbling. If you don't win, there's going to be a lot of complaining. If you don't win, there's going to be a lot of, what the world wrong with you, Kirby? That ain't Nick. You had the new man that from South Dakota punk you out. You got this new cat from the Pac-12 that ain't even a conference no more right now. You let Washington beat you? Like, Georgia fans ain't gonna like that. I'm telling you that. A lot of pressure here on Kirby Smart for this matchup. Jarvis S. writes in, this game is going to feel like a home game playoff for us. It will take on that feel, Jarvis. This game will take on that kind of feeling because it's going to be highly anticipated, right? It already is highly anticipated. It's going to be incredibly hyped up. It's going to have incredible build-up. It's a night game in Bryant-Denny on Saban Field. It's going to feel like a home playoff game. So many storylines will enter this matchup, a bunch of them. This game sets up, who takes the first step in controlling the SEC this season. Who takes the first step as far as marquee college football playoff implications? This game has a lot weighing on it. Gregory Pace writes in, Roll Tide, everyone, Roll Tide to you, Gregory. Happy to have you in here. Monica Petaway, what's up, Steven? Hope your week is going well. Monica, my week's going fantastic right now. I appreciate you for asking that and saying that. My week's going phenomenal right now. I mean, been really good. You got, the assistant coaches will be speaking tomorrow for Alabama. You got the players speaking Friday. I get this bye week right here. I'm going to pop me in some tape and do my in-depth tape study of Georgia. So I've already started a little bit of my tape study, but we'll get to more in-depth study where I break out the highlighters, pencils, markers, crayons, all of that, Sharpies, getting all of that going in the next couple of days here in the intense tape study of Georgia. But appreciate you, Monica, for asking me about my day going well. It's going fantastic. Well, week going well. Terrence Facelli writes in, Rammer Jammer. Terrence, happy to have you in here on the show. We got Farab coming back with Skyline Crew, baby. We in here deep. Skyline Crew is in here deep. That's what I'm talking about. Gotta appreciate the Skyline Crew. Gotta love that. We got Anthony Harris writes in, if we stop the run, everything gonna break loose. Anthony, right. That's the main thing. Bama stops Georgia's run, have the right run fits. Bama stops Georgia's run. It's going to be able to pressure Carson back, get turnovers, get takeaways. So that's going to be big right there. Mario Gordon writes here, Roll Tide, rise up. Well, he's giving up the Roll Tide and rise up there. So little love to the Roll Tide and rise up from Mario there. Brandon Tolbert comes back with, we have to run the ball, though. Alabama's going to run the football. And I think this may be a big game for Justice Haynes. He's from Georgia, went to Buford High School, former 5-star, 2023 class. His dad, Veron Haynes, a Georgia legend, right? So this is a big game for Justice. Justice didn't get a lot of carries, a lot of touches against Wisconsin, but I feel like in this matchup next week, the opportunities are going to flow more so to him. Not just in the run game, but in the receiving aspect, also in pass blocking. Now, Jam is going to get off too. But I just feel like the magnitude of this game, and because Justice is from Georgia, this will be a game where he is going to seize those opportunities. We got here, Jerry Martin writes in, our defense better be ready to play because old Kirby is going to try to embarrass us on our home field. Jerry, Kirby knows how big this game is. I've said this. The pressure's on him. He knows if I don't beat Alabama this time, and Alabama without Nick Saban as the head coach, yes, I'm playing on Saban Field, but Nick Saban is not coaching this version of Alabama. So if I don't beat the Crimson Tide, and Nick Saban is not the coach of this team, but it becomes Kirby doesn't have a Saban problem. He has a Bama problem. Bama has his number. Bama is in his head rent-free. Bama is the thorn in his side. Not Nick Saban. The Alabama program as a whole is a thorn in Kirby's side if he doesn't win next week. And that's where you're going to see a lot of the grumbling and a lot of the complaining from the Georgia faithful. So Bama's defense has got to come ready to play because Kirby's going to bring some inside that stadium. But Bama's defense has got to come with it. Bama's offense has got to come with it. J.D. Lee writes in, Georgia needs to be worried about our running game. I would like to see more of Haynes this game. I think you're going to see a lot of Justice Haynes. Like I said, he's from Georgia. Went to high school in Beaufort, Georgia. Dad was a Georgia legacy. Justice Haynes knows the importance of this game. I think he will get a lot of opportunities. He's going to get a lot of opportunities to touch the football, go off, run wild in this football game next week. I'm looking forward to seeing Justice Haynes on this field here. Chatman family is in here. Roll Tide and Rise Up. Appreciate your Chatman family being in here. We got my guy Bob Rutherford with the RTR giving us a heart there. Appreciate you, Bob. We got Chatman family again. I believe Haynes will be ready. I think Justice will be ready to serve justice on Georgia. See what I did there? I think Justice will serve justice on Georgia and be prepared to run that football and contribute in every way possible. GT18, I get the feeling Georgia will be uptight. We will be loose. Our stadium, our crowd getting loud. We will play sound football, get on them early. Could be a long night for the Dogs. GT, I see that, especially if this is a sellout crowd. Bama had a sellout crowd against Western Kentucky, sellout crowd against South Florida. If this is a sellout crowd and the Bama Nation does its job and makes it difficult for Georgia to hear on the field, and Bama plays sound football, it gets off to a fast start offensively. I mentioned this on Monday's show. Bama needs to take this ball offensively and score on its first offensive possession of the game and send a statement early. Get a touchdown in the first offensive possession of the game. But if the crowd is in the game, Bama plays sound football, gets up on Georgia early, it could be a long day for the Dogs. We'll see. Jarvis S. writes in, hashtag Clash of the Titans, September 28th. We will see a Clash of the Titans next week. Let's see here. Don Parker coming back in with, you can't overlook Georgia. You can't overlook Georgia. You can't overlook the matchups that Alabama has played, that Georgia has played. Games like this are where a team must play to the standard. Bama has to play at its apex next week here against Georgia. Let's see here. Jeremy Matthews writes in, I know Carson Beck is not a deep ball quarterback, but the intermediate passing game, especially in the middle of the field, is going to be a problem. That's how Western Kentucky was killing us at. And that's why Alabama's secondary, Jeremy, they got to challenge everything. They got to contest everything. They got not just the deep stuff, but the short to intermediate routes, you got to contest everything. And this is the reason why Alabama's defensive front has got to affect the passing lanes of Carson Beck. Knock the ball down, get pressure to him, get some sacks, get him on the ground, knock him off his spot, rough him up a bit. That's why you got to constantly affect Carson Beck there on the field. Fromm writes in, I'm really not overthinking Georgia. We know who Georgia is. True. And you really don't have to overthink Georgia. You don't have to overthink Georgia. you're never going to overlook Georgia, and you're not overthinking Georgia. My thing is for Alabama, like I mentioned before, stopping the run, put this run defense, secondary, playing sound football, Alabama's offense getting off to a fast start, and just the program as a whole increase the pressure on Georgia. That's the main thing. Increase the pressure on Georgia with every part of the game next week. Kirby Smart's coming in here with a lot of pressure on him already. Increase that pressure. Increase that pressure on him inside Saban Field. Let's see here. GT18. This kind of game is why you come to Bama to play football. Matchups like these are why you sign that national letter of intent to come to Tuscaloosa to play football. Let's see. Bama Hulk writes in, I honestly think Milroe will run all over Georgia. Milroe's legs will be a factor, but I'm looking forward to Milroe's arm in the passing game. Short to intermediate routes, deep ball opportunities. I'm also looking forward to the play calling of Nick Sheridan in this game. Can he create for Kendrick Law? Can he create for Kobe Prentice? Can he create for Jeremy Bernard? Can he create for Ryan Williams? Because in this matchup, Georgia is going to try to take away Hollywood Williams. They're going to try to take Ryan Williams out the picture. Can Nick Sheridan scheme up and create ways to get Ryan open? And even if it has to be Ryan having a quiet game, can he scheme up Jeremy Bernard, Kobe Prentice, Kendrick Law to go off? Here is a game where if you're Nick Sheridan, you start to earn part one of your paycheck. Western Kentucky, ask them. South Florida, ask them. Wisconsin, yeah, whatever. This one, Georgia, with this defensive front that Georgia has, this is where, if you are Nick Sheridan, you start to earn part one of your paycheck. Can you create for these wide receivers to be open? Make plays in this matchup. Eric D writes in, what's up, Stephen M. Smith? Roll Tide to you, Eric. Happy to have you in here. Appreciate you being involved on the show. We got Crazy Veteran 357. Roll Tide to you, Crazy Veteran. Happy to have you in here. Here we go. We got Eugene Ingram. I am worried about the defense, especially the extremely long drives Alabama seems to give up every week. This is a game where you got to get off the field on third down. Stopping the run, filling your gap integrity, gap discipline, putting Georgia behind the down and distance, but most importantly, third down. Get off the field. Third down. Get off the field. It's the big thing. Eric D. Kirby is going to pull out all the stops in this game, but it will not be enough, Stephen. Alabama's offense is going to win this game decisively. Well, there's the confidence from Eric D. There's the confidence right there. Let's see. Fromm writes in, no Bowers to save Beck. So Fromm is going, he ain't got no Brock Bowers. He ain't got no Lad McConkey. So Beck doesn't have two heroes there to help him out there. So there's Fromm's thoughts. JD Lee, by the way, I'm checking in from Atlanta, but born and raised in Alabama. These Georgia fans up here are something else, especially at work. They don't think Alabama is good without Saban. JD, and this is where DeBoer begins his way of saying to you, Alabama Nation, he was the right hire, right? Next week begins the process of King and DeBoer telling you, as the Alabama football consumer, he was the right hire. He goes out here, beats Kirby Smart, whoops him on Saban Field. A lot of you as Bama Nation is going to go, this was the right hire. Good job, Greg Byrne. Bama got the right guy, right? So next week, begins that process of Kane and DeBoer proving, hey, I was the right hire for this Alabama job. Let's see if Brandon Tolbert writes in. Yes, sir. There we go. That's from Brandon Tolbert right there. Monica Petaway writes in, they're going to say Alabama cheated. Well, Monica, every opponent that Alabama plays is always going to be like, well, Alabama cheated or Alabama did this. But hey, it kind of is what it is. Jay Walker writes in, where is Said at? Not seeing him on the sideline. Well, you know, Coach Said was an extension of Nick Saban. I don't know where he is in terms of the program now. I don't know where he is, but he is definitely an extension of Coach Saban. I think he maybe still is involved in the program, maybe in a smaller capacity. If I'm not mistaken, I may have to fact check that. But with DeBoer's staff in here, you know, says an extension of Coach Saban. So I'll have to figure that out. You know, Jay Walker, where exactly Said is. But good question right there. We got JDog67 writes in, this is the closest thing we will ever get to a Saban defense versus a DeBoer offense. Yeah, because Kirby Smart took the Nick Saban defense to Georgia, and now you got DeBoer's offense right here. So it's going to be a fun battle. It's going to be a fun, intriguing, interesting battle. It's going to be fun. I'm prepared. This is going to be fun. Let's see here. We got Chris Granger writes in, if crowd is like we were when LSU came to town, look out, RTR. I'm saying this. Crowd is going to be on point. Crowd is going to be on point here. It's going to be on point here. My main thing is always, Chris, Alabama run game, dominate up front, Alabama rushing attack, Bama run defense, have gap, sound discipline, Bama pass defense, don't let these wide receivers get behind you, and then also affect Carson Beck. And for Nick Sheridan, here is your job right here. Create for these wide receivers to get open. JD Lee writes in, remember, Kirby comes from the Saban tree. The Bulldogs want to be like Alabama. Kirby comes from the Saban tree. Kirby also knows, I got to win this one. I got to win. I got to show everybody in Athens, Georgia, and I got to show everybody in the whole state of Georgia that I don't have an Alabama problem, right? I got to show everybody in the state of Georgia that Alabama, the program, does not have my number. This is a big game for Kirby Smart to prove that and to show that. And if he can't show that, and if he can't prove that, then it's going to be a lot of upset dog fans like, Kirby, what's wrong with you? It's like when you get to Alabama, you choke. When you get to Alabama, you freeze up. When you get to Alabama, it's like, what's going on? So this is I'm telling you, the pressure is on him. Don Parker writes in, forgive the typos. However, the point I am making is that a game like this, coming game, is why you play to a standard and not the opponent. Thankfully, Bama has an extra week to get it right. And Bama standard, done, as you know, is playing elite, exceptional football on all phases. That's Bama standard. You're playing elite, exceptional football in all phases here. Eric D writes in, Anthony Harris is spot on. If we put this game on Carson Beck's arm, Alabama will control the game. If you put it on Carson Beck, solely on Carson Beck, not allowing Georgia to get off in the run game, but you put this solely on Carson Beck and you bring pressure. You do not let him be comfortable. You bring pressure. Kane Womack, you get after him. He has not done a lot of things on defense yet. Kane has been holding for this opportunity to unleash some stuff here. Time for Kane Womack to unleash some stuff here when you look at this week. Here we go. Jarvis S. writes in, feels so good to finally have, it feels so good finally he's able to focus our full attention on the Georgia Bulldogs. Alabama can focus its full attention on Georgia. The full attention is on Georgia. The full clip is on Georgia. So this is going to be good here. We got Jarvis writing back in. This game can't get here fast enough. The entire football world will be locked on this one. Absolutely. Winner of this game takes a big step in controlling the SEC. Winner of this game takes a big step in college football playoff implications. Winner of this game takes a big step in terms of the coaching meter in the SEC. Winner of this game takes a big step in a lot of aspects. All of the world is going to have their eyes fixated on this one right here for next week. Let's see here. Eric D. writes in, Stephen M. Smith, I believe the reason Kentucky was able to hang in the game with Georgia is because Georgia spent some of their time looking ahead to Alabama. Eric D., I can see that, and you're correct. You are correct. Georgia did not take Kentucky seriously. Georgia may have got caught peeking ahead to the next week, the next game on the schedule. It got caught peeking ahead to facing Alabama. And that's the reason why I am pleased that Alabama took Wisconsin seriously. Bama did not try to peek ahead to Georgia. No, they looked at Wisconsin. We're focused on Wisconsin right now, and Bama handled business against Wisconsin, beating them by 32 points, despite their jump around song between the third and fourth quarter. Bama was so focused on Wisconsin, it knocked Tyler Van Dyke out the game in the first quarter. So, Georgia, yes, got caught peeking around to Alabama. Now, it's going to get Alabama as of next week. Let's see. We got Jarvis S. writes in, Donald Trump will be in attendance at the matchup as well. Hopefully, we will do much better than we did against LSU in 2019, the last time Trump came to see Bama play in Tuscaloosa. Yes, hopefully it's a better outcome than what it was the last time. I'm looking forward to Jarvis getting to the game a whole lot earlier because in 2019, when I got to the game, they were checking my bags like 100 dozen times as if I was trying to attack Trump, which I was not. I'm just trying to get into the game and do my job and cover this football team. But this time around, I look to be inside the stadium early. Absolutely. We got Fromm. Fromm writes in, every time Trump shows up, Bama loses. Hope he stays away. Well, Trump has only shown up one time, Fromm, and that was 2019. And so hopefully Bama can avenge itself from that performance there. We got Jarvis S. writes in the words of Kendrick Lamar, they not like us. So there we go. We get a Kendrick Lamar reference on the show coming from Jarvis S. We got a Kendrick Lamar reference. Let's see here. We got Anthony writes in, if he gets more than 2 carries, that goes back to Justice Haynes. I think Justice will get more than 2 carries in this matchup. I think he'll get way more than 2. Jarvis S. writes back in, Bryant Denny is going to be absolutely rocking. I believe it will be. I think it's going to be absolutely rocking in there. From start to finish, crowd is going to be on its feet. Going to be a feverish pitch inside there. Night game under the LED lighting feature. It's going to be rocking in there. Roll Tide and Rise Up comes in. Please, no Trump, no celebrities. I just want to watch a football game, not a red carpet show. Well, Roll Tide and Rise Up, it has been confirmed. He's coming. Former President Trump and now his presidential candidate this time around, he's coming. He's coming. It's been confirmed. He will be at this football game. Eric D. writes in, this game is crucial for both teams. Alabama needs this game for power rankings, and Georgia needs it because they have a tougher schedule in front of them. Georgia also needs it, Eric D., so that Kirby can show everybody I don't have an Alabama problem. I was able to beat Alabama without Nick Saban. That's another reason why Georgia needs this game. Because if Georgia cannot win this game, it becomes Bama is a serious thorn in Kirby's side. Jarvis S. writes in, NFL talent will be on display all over the field on both sides. Jarvis, good point. We may see several NFL teams at this game. We may see several NFL scouts at this game. We'll see several NFL programs at this game because you got talent on Georgia's side, you got talent on Alabama's side. It is going to be a fun one. Here we go. Eric D writes in, if Coach KD wins this game, can he be considered the best coach in college football today? What's the feeling? If Kalen DeBoer wins this game, it would put him up there. But I think the bigger feeling would be if he wins this game, Alabama fans across the landscape will take a breath and go, Greg Byrne made the right decision, right? Because a lot of us are still asking ourselves the question, did Greg Byrne make the right decision? Is Coach Kalen DeBoer, yes, he's a calm guy. Yes, he says all the right things. But was he really the right move? Was he really the right decision for this program, right? You beat Georgia, prime time next week. The Bama Nation, you can take a collective breath and go, KD was the right move. Kalen DeBoer was the right hire. Greg Byrne, way to go. You did your homework. You did your due diligence. You made the right hire. Don Parker writes in, not into the hype on what player is going to do that. Can we please get a game played to the Alabama standard? Can we please get into all three phases of the game and play for 4 quarters? You definitely want to get one that's in all 4 phases of the game, or in all 3 phases of the game, they're done, and get a game where Bama is dominating all 4 quarters. Fromm writes in, a lot of recruits will be at this game. You're going to have a bunch of recruits. You're going to have a bunch of recruits that'll be at this game. A bunch of recruits will be at this football game. Let's see here. We actually got a dog fan in the audience. Carter Netza writes in, dog fan here. Watch out for Jalen Walker. He's coming. Should be a great game. So here we go. We got dog fans in here right now. Carter also writes in, don't think you'll see the same team you saw against Kentucky. I'm not expecting it, Carter. I know Kirby's going to have these guys ready to play. I know this. Jarvis S. writes in, time to introduce UGA to freshman phenom Ryan Hollywood Williams. We're going to see if Ryan Hollywood can get off here in this game. Deborah Ferguson writes in, do you think they'll open up the playbook more? They should. They should. I think defensively, that playbook will be opened up more. Offensively, I think it should open up more as well. Let's see. Let's get to more of your thoughts here on the show as we start to wind this thing down. Appreciate all the comments here coming from all of you. Let's see. Here we go. This is Sean Hobson. I just want to know, is it any other receivers open, or what is it? I'm excited for Williams, but I know other receivers got to be open, or it's going to be a long day for us. I look at Jeremy Bernard, going to be open in this game, got to. Kobe Prentice, going to be open in this game, got to. Kendrick Law, after how he's been blocking these last few games, you got to get Kendrick Law the football. You have to get Kendrick Law the football. Those are the guys I feel like going to be open there. Let's see here. We got here Joseu, MHJ, Roll Tide, Steven. Please discuss the 4-2-5 defense and the weakness that Bama has it in that scheme. 4-2-5 is not the best scheme against the run. It's not the best scheme against the run. It's more so better against the pass. However, if your linebackers fit and your defensive backs fit, there are gaps that they're supposed to hit in, then you can limit the run, right? You can limit an opposing team's run game if your guys are sound in gap discipline. And that's the big thing for Alabama. Got to be sound there in the gap discipline. Jarvis S. drops in that $10 donation. Let's go. He writes in, this is the time, first time Georgia will play at Alabama since 2020 during the COVID year with 20% capacity. Georgia isn't ready for 100,000 plus rowdy fans under the lights and Brian Denny. It's a good point there, Jarvis. The last time Georgia played at Alabama, it was during the coronavirus pandemic in 2020. And you had, all types of precautions there. Now, you have absolutely no precautions. Brian Denny can operate at full strength. That's going to be fun to watch there. But appreciate all of you checking out the show tonight. All of you guys checking us out here on a Wednesday, giving you the hottest show on the streets. We're talking Bama football. Like I said, for me, my main thing for the Crimson Tide next week is the run defense. Run defense got to be its best. Run defense got to be on its apex this week or next week here, against the Crimson Tide. Bama's deep run defense has got to be on its apex against Georgia there. Let's see here. We got Nick Barber writes in, 2 of their starting offensive linemen are injured. We should be able to pressure back. Also, Steven, are the lights too bright for this new kicker? All right, so yes, Georgia does have 2 offensive linemen out. So yes, it should help Alabama's defense in pressuring Carson Beck. Now, the lights too bright for the new kicker? I don't think so. He got 1 field goal attempt this season, and that's against Wisconsin. And he hit the ball well. Graham Nicholson hit it well. He didn't pull it. He didn't yank it. He struck it well. It was just the wind was blowing from right to left. So the wind caught it a little bit, right? The wind caught it a little bit. But I don't think the lights are too bright for him. He hasn't had just a whole lot of opportunities so far. Only 1 field goal attempt right now. So continue to give him time and work with him. He's only had 1 field goal attempt. Let's see here. Let's go. Jarvis S. writes in, I see something like Bama 42, Georgia 24. That's the prediction there for Jarvis. Bama 42, Georgia 24. Jarvis, remember, that was the final score, I want to say, the 2020 game between Bama and Georgia. I also want to say that 42-24 was the final score in the Bama 2021 SEC title game against Georgia. Or was that final score 41-24? It might have been 41-24 there, but you won, both times here. Let's see. We got my man Don Parker back in here with the $10 donation. Appreciate the love there from Don Parker. The color orange always looks ugly at Bryant Denny. Yeah, I said it. And you can take it and do with it what you will. Prism, Prism, it would be a better fit roll tie. So that is Tennessee with the color orange. So Don letting you know he can't stand Tennessee there. Monica Petaway writes in, great content tonight. Appreciate it, Monica. Just getting all the thoughts here from the fans. Trying to keep it here at the one main topic so we all can dive into it. Explore horizons anywhere on Malachi Moore. Malachi is okay. He is fine. Went through the concussion protocol there. He popped off the field. Once he took a hit against Wisconsin, he will be good to go for the matchup against Georgia. Oh, Don's talking about Trump there, hating the color orange. Don is talking about former President Trump there. There we go. There we go, Don. There we go. There's Don right there. There is Don right there. Christian Hughes writes in, Stephen M., do you see LT Overton having another great game? He absolutely can. LT against Wisconsin took off. I think he's got a shot against Georgia to take off. Take off, get to Carson Beck, put him on the ground, get some sacks, forced some fumbles. LT Overton has taken a lot of steps forward. I think this game here against Georgia, he has a shot at another big game here. From writes in, offensive coordinator Nick Sheridan got a lot of weapons on offense. Use them. You got to use them. You got to use the weapons. And then, like I said, this is his game to create his paycheck. He's got several guys he can create opportunities for on the field. Now you go out there and create them. Whether it's for Jeremy Bernard, whether it's for Ryan Williams, whether it's for Kobe Prentice, whether it's for Kendrick Law. If I'm Nick Sheridan, I'm having a whole play sheet for Kendrick Law. This is Kendrick Law's script. We're calling it for you, KR, right now. This is Kobe Prentice's script. We're calling it for you, Kobe Prentice, right now. I mean, if you got a script for Emmanuel Henderson, have a script for E-Man. Have a script for Caleb Odom. I don't care what you got to do. You got playmakers all over the field. Get these guys the football. Free them up. Give them the football. Jarvis S. writes in, Kirby is shaking in his boots thinking about this matchup. Yes, Jarvis, because he knows I got to win this one. I got to win this one. Got to. Tide writes in, Kentucky had Walker holding up the middle. If we can do that, then we're good. Hey, there's Tide there with his thoughts. Appreciate your Tide. Sam writes in, Stephen M., yes, the defensive front will have to show up, but the secondary will have to keep everything in front of them. Yes, the secondary has to keep everything in front of them. You can't allow Georgia's receivers to run all over you, but it's good when you do have a defensive front seven that can affect Carson Beck to where he will not be able to get the passes off that he wants to get off. Let's see here. Jarvis S. writes in, all we did was run quarterback option for Milroe all night with some sprinkled go routes in. Hey, there it is. There it is. We crushed Wisconsin with their quarterback read option and some go routes sprinkled into it. There it is. Tide writes in, hold on. Rock Righteous Ministry. I think Malachi is much better and will play. Malachi is much better. He will play. How is Quay doing? Quay's doing good. Quay will be able to do some things in practice tomorrow. Quay Russo will be able to do some things in practice tomorrow. So Quay is fine. Having a lower leg thing, but he probably just sprained ankle, but he's okay. He is okay. Let's see here. Little 1-205. Roll Tide, roll Young. Little one, appreciate that. My guy, Keith Williams. We got here. Christian Hills. I'd like to see Keon Saab house one. I would like to see that too. I mean, after he had 2 interceptions, game 1 against Western Kentucky, I would like to see even more there from Keon Saab. And maybe it'll come next week against Georgia. Rock Righteous Ministry with a thanks, bro. Appreciate that. Rock Righteous Jarvis S. You know you gotta do that. Gotta have a link up right there. GT 18 writes, getting that shout to Christian Hughes there. GT 18 also wants to see Keon Saab house one off an interception. Jarvis S. Time to make Saban proud. Time to make Saban proud, Coach DeBoer. It is time to do it. It is time to do it. It's time to do it. Sam writes in, Bama creating turnovers on defense and not turn the ball over on offense, and special teams will be big in this game. James Burnup on special teams is going to be big in this game. James Burnap, his ability to flip the field, going to be huge in this matchup. But yes, defense creating turnovers, offense not turning the football over, all of those things are marquee aspects. Appreciate all of you guys writing in, checking out the show. Austin Martinez writes in, do you think Keon Keeley will get some playing time soon? Hopefully, the guy's got all of his talent. I know there are a lot of guys in front of him on the defensive line, but hopefully at some point this season, we can see Keon Keeley there on the field. But I appreciate all of you guys checking out today's show, making this your spot, your place for all things Crimson Tide football on this evening. As always, you want the best in news, notes, information, material on your favorite program, that being Bama. You get that by accessing the Touchdown Alabama magazine app. You download the app from the iPhone App Store if you're rocking Team Apple, Google Play Store if you got the Android phone. For your audio listening needs, check us out, iTunes or Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Spreaker, TuneIn Radio, Google Play, Overcast.fm, or iHeartRadio. We got you covered right there. The good and gracious Lord sees fit. I'll be back on Friday, continuing the conversation. It's Tide football. Remember, Bama fans, you get that subscription to touchdownalabama.com. You subscribe to touchdownalabama.com to have all Bama in the palm of your hands there all season. You also subscribe to TDA Plus, the Video Hub, to get all that content as well. You subscribe to our YouTube channel. We got a lot of shows, a lot of content, a lot of great stuff, and we're pumping it out there to you, the Alabama football family. Till next time, folks, I'm your man, Stephen M. Smith. You've been listening to In My Own Words.